Hudson County View live at Uncut. I'm your host for What You See Is What You Get, and What You Don't Is Better Yet, John R. Heinis with the latest and greatest at Hudson County News. So first of all, let's talk about what's happening in Bayonne. So actually in Hoboken and Jersey City as well. CarePoint Health received approval from the State Planning Board, and this will allow them to become a nonprofit. Obviously, they've been operating as a for-profit entity for several years now, and they're claiming this opens them up for a number of new funding opportunities. So we're going to discuss what that means for Hudson County. Obviously, any healthcare matter is important, so we're going to dive into that a little bit. We're also going to talk about some new hires in the city of Hoboken. On Friday, they announced almost $250,000 spent across 3 new employees. We got 2 new social workers and a public safety spokeswoman. So we have some mixed reactions there. So we're going to walk you through that. I've also written about it. We've discussed a little bit about these police major discipline reports that are due every year. You get to see who was suspended and who was terminated, who resigned to avoid discipline, things of that nature. So we dove into that in Jersey City and Hoboken a little bit. And yesterday was actually a really busy day. We saw the 33rd Legislative District candidates, that's State Senator Brian Stack, Julio Barranco, and Gabriel Rodriguez. They formally, or officially, if you will, launched their campaign, so we're going to talk about that as well. We're also going to talk about the Resign Amy DeGee's rally. Obviously, there are still people in Jersey City that are upset about that hit and run, even after she received her punishment from a judge. So coincidentally today, one of the people who spoke at the rally is joining me, and that's Hudson County Executive Candidate Eleana Little. So all that, and probably a little bit more right after this word from our sponsors.
Stevens Jersey City Ford Certified Parts and Service, located at Route 440 and Communipaw Ave, is your #1 source for Ford and Lincoln automotive needs. We use certified Ford Motorcraft products to keep your Ford running in top shape. Motorcraft parts are backed with the Ford warranty, which includes a 2-year unlimited mileage guarantee. Our team will have the right Motorcraft part to ensure the best performance from your Ford or Lincoln. You can order in person at the parts counter or online. Let us help keep your Ford or Lincoln in the best shape at Stevens Jersey City Ford.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. John R. Heinis, as I mentioned a few moments ago. Today I'm joined with Hudson County Executive Candidate Eleana Little. Eleana, thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, so looking at your announcement and checking out your website, your social media, I noticed that 2 things that you've been talking about are transit and sustainability. Now, obviously, when people think of the Hudson County government, they usually hear about roads, they hear about parks, they hear about the schools. Not really too much about those 2 topics. So why has that been something that you wanted to make a focal point for your campaign?
Well, I think those are 2 really major pain points for people in Hudson County. I mean, on a personal level, I'm an environmental engineer. I went into this field because, I saw the immense effect that living in subpar environments can have on people, and seeing environmental injustices played out time and time again, Hudson County being treated like a dumping ground. I think we need someone with an environmental vision. I think people are concerned about these issues. In terms of flooding, I was president of Harson's Cove Association when Hurricane Ida hit. We had people in basement apartments who had to leave their homes. We had people, lifelong residents who were having to bail water out of their basements with buckets. I think we need to really focus on investing in infrastructure. So whether that's flood mitigation infrastructure or improved transit infrastructure. You mentioned that people don't really think of this being a county issue, but I actually think it can be. The county controls the county roads, and what are we doing with our county roads to make it easier for people who need to take the bus to work, or deliveristas, or people who need to walk to the path or the light rail? You know, we celebrated recently Jersey City achieving 0 pedestrian fatalities in this past year on municipal roads, but that's far from the case on county roads. I mean, anyone who has tried to cross Kennedy Boulevard knows what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So, in terms of transit infrastructure, I think the county roads are one of our weak spots in Hudson County, and it's something we can really improve on.
So, aside from, you know, repaving and doing some bump outs, you know, of course, I know a lot of people want bike lanes. You know, what do you think on how we could effectuate this kind of change?
Yeah, I would love to see us investigate bus rapid transit. You know, we've had mayors suggest this, talk about this in the past, and really a lot of the roads where it makes the most sense, like I mentioned before, Kennedy Boulevard, it forms that north-south spine of the county. And it's a natural fit for something like that. And so bus rapid transit is a bit of a wonky term, but it essentially, you have dedicated bus lanes. So bus lanes might be a better way of thinking of it. You have dedicated bus lanes, and you know, you make the bus stops a little bit nicer. You make it more of a rail-like experience without having to build more expensive infrastructure. So it's one of the lowest hanging fruits in terms of expanding our mass transit, making it more accessible, more convenient for people, would be bus rapid transit, most cost effective.
Any idea what that cost might be approximately?
I don't, because we would need to have a proposed map countywide before we, you know, start budgeting out, but it is substantially cheaper than other mass transit investments.
Okay.
So, because you're working, it makes sense. You're not building new tracks, you're working with the roads you've already got.
Sure. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the politics. So, you know, obviously, look, this is a tough race for anybody. I mean, Craig Guy is a known commodity in the HCDO for probably the past 3 decades, maybe even more than that. You know, probably longer than our lifetimes. Anyway, whatever that case may be, you know, he's been the chief of staff to the outgoing county executive. You know, he's got about $292,000 cash on hand. He's got Senator Scuteri, Governor Murphy's support, et cetera. I mean, we could go on. You get the point. Yeah. So, like, why did you still want to take on this fight?
Well, you know, it certainly is an uphill battle. I would be naive to say that it wasn't, but I do think it's important that we have challenges, we have alternate visions, we engage voters, we engage the people of Hudson County, because if there's no competition, do we really have a fully democratic system? If it's just, you know, the next anointed person in line assumes their seat when it's their turn, you know, that's how monarchies work. That's not how a democracy should work. So I do think it's important to have, you know, sustained competition. I think it's also healthy in terms of getting people talking about the issues, right? If you're unchallenged, you don't really have to talk about the issues. You don't have to do much campaigning at all. So I think it's important to sort of have that movement, have that engagement, and I think it's doing a disservice to the people of Hudson County to not have that.
All right. Point taken. Now, on that note, do you feel this is a winnable race despite the, you know, obvious obstacles we just talked about?
I do think it's a winnable race. You know, I think there is a path to victory. It's an uphill battle, as you mentioned, but you know, I think from working with certain community leaders, certain elected officials that are more independent from the machine, you know, I have people who have committed to endorse. We haven't started rolling out the endorsements yet, but I'm definitely seeing some support from the community, and it's not. It's less of institutional advantage, which we definitely don't have. You know, my opponent has the institutional advantage, but there's a grassroots movement that is building, and I think we can continue to build on that grassroots momentum.
All right, fair enough. Eleana, don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Good
Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View Live at Uncut, and I'm still sitting here with Hudson County Executive candidate Eleana Little. So, have you picked up petitions for nomination yet? Started getting signatures?
Yes, I have started getting signatures.
And what kind of feedback are you getting at the doors? We briefly touched on this before the break, but what kind of feedback are you getting?
So far, it's been incredibly positive. People are excited to see a change. They're excited to see that a challenge to the existing system as we know it, and they're excited to see people who are running for office who care about making a difference in our communities.
Okay, so we have a handful of county executive candidates that have announced, opposing
commissioner.
the commissioner
Yeah.
candidates, opposing the incumbency. And do you think there'll be a full-fledged slate, 10 people running against the machine in this one?
I'm not sure if it will be 10, but the hope is that we will challenge the machine where it makes sense and where we have strong candidates and where we have people who want to run. The goal is definitely to mount a serious challenge to the machine, a viable challenge to the machine, and truly give voters a choice at the polls.
All right, so there's more candidates to come, is that safe to say?
Yes.
Okay, and how's it going on the fundraising front? I mean, matching dollar for dollar would be exceedingly difficult, but are you happy with how that's going thus far?
Yeah, I'm, as you know, I announced in the Hudson County View just a few days before the holidays, so it got a little bit of a slow start, but we are continuing to fundraise. We are beginning to have meet and greet fundraisers, so we're keeping the ball rolling.
All right, so you're where you want to be at this moment.
Yeah, still a long way to go till Election Day, and like you said, it's I don't take corporate donations. I don't take donations from real estate developers. There's logistically no way I'm going to be outraising my opponent with all the institutional backing and advantage that he has. However, I think there's a path to victory. Right, dollars are not votes. They help, but they are not votes. So I think using the dollars that we do have wisely. Focusing on that grassroots organizing, I think is really going to be the path that we're going to go down. All
right, understood. So now, as I mentioned at the top of the program, you were one of the speakers at the rally at City Hall asking Councilwoman Amy DeGise to resign. Mm-hmm. I know this is a position that you took pretty early on in the process and you maintain it. Why did you think it was important to have this rally and, and also to be a voice there?
Yeah, so I do think she should resign. I think she should have resigned when it happened. That didn't happen, and now is the next best time. The story we kept being given from our political leadership with the exception of Councilperson Solomon and Councilperson Gilmore, who did have the courage to say, hit and runs are bad. This is not something a city council person should do. Leave a constituent for dead in the street. Aside from that, the line we've been given by our politicians has been let the process play out. At times it even felt like they were scolding people who were asking for her to resign, such as, oh, whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty, as if there wasn't camera footage from multiple angles. And that argument, which was the main one that they were giving, falls flat because she has pled guilty.
That's true. Obviously, no one could dispute that. But would you say that there's a reasonable point of view here that, look, it's happened, she's put it behind her, and even if Mayor Fulop and Governor Murphy did a press conference tomorrow, she's probably still not going to resign?
Yeah. I think it's important to keep talking about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for accountability from your elected officials. But it's, to me, it's not really just about Amy. It's not just about Councilperson DeGise. It's about this broader system of entitlement, this sense that if you're politically connected, if you know the right people, that the same rules don't apply to you as they apply to everyday people. And that's really what I'm pushing back against. It's not, of course the video is horrifying, but this is really just one small example in a much larger ecosystem of political corruption. And that's why I'm continuing to talk about it.
All right, so that's a good segue. So obviously, if you're the Hudson County executive, you do have a big say and you do have a big voice in that ecosystem. So what are some things that you would like to do to try to turn that around and make this, a well-oiled machine that takes care of everyone and not just the select few, as you basically said?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first things first. There are appointed positions within the county government. I would want to, truly interview for those and make sure we have people who are competent, passionate about what they're doing, passionate about their communities, and really going to show up every day and make Hudson County a better place. And I think we have a patronage system in place, unfortunately, in this county where people, often people will have multiple taxpayer-funded jobs. I've heard as many as 5. I don't know about you.
I've heard it.
Yeah. Maybe 5's the record, maybe it's not. But to me, I don't think this double dipping is something that we should accept. I think it's a waste of taxpayer money. I think limiting the amount of full-time jobs someone can have in the same level of government, right? I mean, why? If you work for the county government, you should be paid a living wage, and if that's your full-time job, that should be your full-time job. You shouldn't have 4 others. And there's just this lack of transparency, and I think eliminating double dipping, would really go a long way, because we have people with, job descriptions that don't really say what they're doing, and we don't, there's this broad sense, when I talk to people at the doors, there's this broad sense that people have no-show jobs. Now, this is not every county employee, don't get me wrong. There's lots of hardworking county employees who do their job well, and they should continue to do their job, and they should continue to stay there. But you have people in politically appointed positions who then end up having multiple taxpayer-funded jobs, and I don't really think that's a good way to run a government.
Very good, Eleana. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck. We'll obviously be talking more on the trail. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We're not done yet. We'll be right back.
Thanks so much for having me.
Not everyone celebrates the birth of a baby. You have options. Don't panic. New Jersey has safe havens for unwanted infants. Leave the baby with staff at any hospital, ER, police or fire station, or rescue squad. Call the number on your screen for safe haven locations, or go to www.njsafehaven.org. No shame, no blame, no names. Safe Haven.
This thing rips! Oh, it is so quick. There's a lot of punch packed into this Bronco Sport. It's got a ton of horsepower. I love it. All right, now we're getting hairy. Now we're getting the fun stuff.
Yeah. I like how we can get over or around almost anything.
Yeah, I dig your ride. I super dig it. It's gonna be a good day.
Growing up can be tough on kids. So much is going on in the world that can cause depression or anxiety. Unusual behavior for more than 6 months could mean they need help. Don't wait. For real-time mental health support and counseling, call New Jersey's Children's System of Care. CSOC offers free mental health supports, substance use treatment, and services for intellectual or developmental disabilities for all kids up to age 21. Call now, 1-877-652-7624.
Introducing the all-new Ford Maverick. A truck for people who do stuff. And people who make stuff. People like Gabrielle Union.
I make this look good, don't I?
Who haul whatever they want to wherever they want. Like wood to build things made of wood with. And friends to get weird with. It's for long trips that the standard hybrid engine with a targeted EPA estimated city fuel economy rating of 40 miles per gallon helps with. That an 8-inch touchscreen connects with. And any trip that this interior makes more comfortable. But we'll let Gabrielle tell you all about it.
Or I could just tell them it's a Ford truck that starts at less than $20,000 MSRP.
Yep, that works too. The all-new Ford Maverick, built to defy expectations.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. John R. Heinis. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, the State Health Planning Board voted in favor of CarePoint Health converting to a nonprofit. And that was 16 months after they announced such plans. And they're actually going to stay with their current president and CEO, that's Dr. Anchita Malik. And obviously he was delighted by the news, as you could have easily guessed. He said today's decision by the State Health Planning Board will have a transformative impact not just on CarePoint Health, but on Hudson County and the surrounding region as a whole. With our nonprofit structure now fully in place, CarePoint Health will have access to critical financial support from the state and federal governments, as well as reduced cost and access to charitable fundraising contributions, all of which will make our hospital stronger and more financially solvent. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they have been pushing for this because they said this will open up more funding opportunities to serve more patients in Hudson County. And as you guys know, CarePoint owns the Bayonne Medical Center, the Hoboken University Medical Center, and Christ Hospital in Jersey City. So this doesn't really come as a surprise. You know, the vote was unanimous. This last month, we heard from a number of elected leaders, also medical professionals and community leaders too, speaking in favor of this effort. And we actually saw Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop and Bayonne Mayor Jimmy Davis go to Trenton to testify on this, again, speaking in favor. And that's basically that. I mean, look, we're going to keep an eye on it, and we're going to see what this means in terms of, in terms of cost and in terms of services, and we're going to keep you up to speed. So one that was specifically out of Bayonne, I just wanted to touch on briefly. You guys might recall that there was this incident that happened on June 7th, 2021. There was a police-involved shooting, as many call it, and 2 officers responded to the home of an emotionally disturbed man armed with a knife. His mother actually is the one that dialed 911. And a jury reviewed the case, a state grand jury, and they came back with a no bill, which means no charges will be filed. You know, I've posted the body cam of that a few times, so you could take a look at that if you have it on my Twitter page. But the long story short is the New Jersey Attorney General's office, did their prosecutor's directive. They went through the protocols, they showed all the evidence to the jury, and again, they came back and said that this was a justified shooting. So, with that, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Mile Square City. As I mentioned, they did some new hires that they announced on Friday, 3 to be exact. And first, let's talk about the Office of Constituent Services. Now, they've hired 2 social workers. This is something that they've talked about for the better part of 2 years. That's Lori Hetzel and Bianca Hoffer, and they're both going to work under Nora Martinez de Benedetto. So, obviously, this is something that, again, the city has talked about a number of times over the past couple years. Hoffer's going to have a salary of $80,000. Hetzel will receive a $75,000 a year salary, according to city spokeswoman Marilyn Barr. We, of course, heard from Mayor Ravi Bala on this. He said, connecting our residents in need of food, shelter, and mental health services to existing programs is needed more than ever after the pandemic. Creating the new social worker roles is critical to providing them with the support that will help our residents get back on their feet. Again, a program that's been pushed for. It was allocated in the last budget. It will obviously be in this budget. Not a surprise to anyone that's been following along closely in the Mile Square City. Now, one, though, that I think is not quite as obvious, just a couple hours later, we heard that they're going to have a public safety spokeswoman. Her official title on the books is Senior Public Information Assistant. And you know her from News 12, perhaps. She was an anchor at some points and was also in the field for quite a while. She was with the News 12 family for the better part of a decade, and that's Marcy Rubin. So basically, she said in a statement, I am thrilled to be taking this next step in my career to be bringing more than 25 years of experience in journalism, media relations, and communications to the city of Hoboken, my home for over a decade. I am particularly excited to be working with Mayor Ravi Bala, Public Safety Director Ken Ferrante, along with the heroes who protect and serve the Hoboken community to continue to expand public engagement and increase transparency. Now, this is a job that they actually talked about back in October, if you remember that council meeting. The Hoboken meetings tend to blend together. Obviously, they get pretty long. But what I'm talking about is that the council saw that there was an allocation from the police department to have a public information officer. And it turned out that they wanted a more expansive role than just that. They wanted someone that would handle all of public safety. So, of course, that also means the Hoboken Fire Department, Hoboken Office of Emergency Management, and pretty much anything else that would fall under that banner, street closures. She's also going to manage their social media accounts. So, obviously the mayor expressed excitement about that, and Rubin is going to be coming in at a salary of $80,000. So, an interesting decision. I mean, obviously we're seeing some unrest on social media here. I mean, that's 3 jobs announced pretty much simultaneously, $235,000 in salaries. So obviously the bar is kind of high and there's some eyes on these positions. So let's see what happens. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But, certainly not something that people were expecting on a Friday afternoon. So with that, let's take a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Safety around front, please.
We designed the F-150 to be tough. And we delivered on towing and payload like you'd expect. We also made it smart, starting with an available hybrid powertrain. This engine also allows you to use your truck as a high wattage generator. It's the kind of capability that a truck owner's really never had before.
The Ford Maverick is a smaller truck, but the available 2.0-liter EcoBoost engine has plenty of horsepower and torque and allows you to tow all kinds of stuff. And if you need to take the Maverick out past city limits, there's select drive modes to take on different terrains, as well as the FX4 off-road package with all-wheel drive.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. So really busy news week. Let's try to close out with a couple other items out of Hoboken. So the Union Dry Dock lease, we've been talking about this for forever, it feels like, but since at least 2017. And there's now a lease between New York Waterway and the city of Hoboken. And this is for, again, Union Dry Dock, that coveted waterfront property in the 2nd Ward. Now, there was a really long Nixon alert, and basically what it said is that the lease is going to be up to 3 years with the city, and it could go as many as 5 years. And some people, as you may have seen on social media, are saying that this is actually not a very lucrative lease for the city. They're only getting about $4,000 to $5,000 a month. Got to do some fact checking, a little bit of a deep dive on that, which I haven't had a chance to do yet. But regardless of the fact, the particulars say that there's going to be 20 ferries stored at the site overnight, with the site being utilized for maintenance and repairs. The hours of operation will be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. The permits for the dry dock operation will come from the city, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the State Department of Environmental Protection. And additionally, New York Waterway employees will be having on-site parking available. So we got a lot more to jump through, so let's just hop on over to the next thing that happened also at the council meeting. That got approved on first reading, by the way. That was a vote of 7-1-1. We saw 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher abstain, and 6th Ward Councilwoman Jen Giattino voted no. So now, this rent control situation has been a hot one at Hoboken. You remember back in 2011, perhaps, that they had a referendum to loosen the rent control laws, and that ended up being defeated by about a 2-to-1 margin. Wasn't really close. but now it looks like we might be repeating history. Now, it was approved on first reading. At this point, it's almost 3 weeks ago. Despite several tenants and landlords expressing dismay over the proposal, the initial base rent is going to be from October 1st, 1985, and annual rent increases are going from 7.5% to 5%. And the vast majority of the speakers came out against this. They said this actually hurts tenants and it hurts landlords simultaneously, as I kind of alluded to. The consumer price index, which is basically the rent increase cap, is 5%. And, we just heard over and over again that, this is just not going to be beneficial to anyone who lives in Hoboken, the long story short. The interesting thing is we saw Mile Square Taxpayers Association Executive Director Ron Simoncini and Cheryl Fallick, who's a longtime tenant advocate who served on the rent leveling board for many years. They came together and actually had this joint proposal. I got a chance to look at it, and they called for legal rent to be defined as rent permitted to be charged under the rent control ordinance, leaving rent calculations up to the rent control office, with tenants able to receive the calculations upon request, that a base rent cannot be increased in the event that is greater than legal rent, among other things. At the end of the day, it ended up passing 5-4, and Simoncini has vowed to have a legal challenge, a referendum in the event that they can't do a legal challenge. Very quickly, just 2 items I want to mention before we call it a week. Michael Griffin, he ran for Jersey City Ward F Council in 2017. He is now going to be running for state senate. You guys may know him as the man who managed Frank Educational Gilmore's successful council campaign in 2021. So now he's going to look to succeed Sandra Cunningham in the 31st Legislative District. And just yesterday we heard the new Team Sacco, which includes Commissioners Hugo Cabrera and Alan Pasquale, and we have 2 new members. The one shouldn't surprise anyone, that's HCDO Chair and Hudson County Board of Commissioners Chair Anthony Veneri, the other being Claudia Rodriguez, a Board of Education trustee that has worked in Senator Sacco's office for many years. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.